You do the weirdest sound check.
Oh, you should see it when it's actually done like the way we normally do it. It gets much more uncomfortable for everybody. It starts out with like a lot of moaning, and then it just makes people uncomfortable. And I'm talking into the right side of the microphone this
That's
time.
also a plus.
Wanted
Also a
to make sure.
plus.
All right, Mom. So, first off, let's get your honest review of episodes of 1 through 5. I know you haven't seen 5 because I didn't post it on social media, but let it rip. You're going to be like our call-in line today, our voice of reason.
So what? The first one was you and V.
Yep.
That one was really good. I liked that one. And then it was you and Ziggy.
Yes.
Okay, that one was pretty good.
That one I didn't really... that one I enjoyed.
One, there was a lot of... I felt like a lot of talk about women and what's wrong with them and why that's wrong with them. I felt like with you and Ziggy.
Really?
Yeah. Your third one, was that Jason?
Third one was... Yes, Jason.
Yeah, it was science and I didn't watch all of it.
That's fair. You should have. It was very interesting.
I might try and go back to it, but I did not watch all of it.
Okay. Derek, you watched
I haven't watched that one yet.
You even reposted that one.
I know. I started to watch it, but work has been very, very busy lately.
That's why you get YouTube Premium. So you could close your screen. Oh, you ain't even got headphones. You old
I do have
like
headphones, but I am also at work.
You
and
can't
by
wear
the time
headphones at work?
No.
I guess that makes sense. You're in the service industry.
Yeah. I can't really room a patient with my headphones in.
I mean, you could. They'd probably just think you're a huge piece of shit.
I mean, probably.
They'd just be like, they're not even worried about me. The best part would be if you walked in and you were listening to, like, you don't know who this is, but, like, NLE Choppa. Super thugged out, just, like, super hood rap. That would have been really entertaining to listen to you.
Yeah, I for sure don't know who that is.
Doesn't surprise me. Doesn't surprise me at all. No. And then, well, obviously, if you haven't watched the Derek one, you haven't watched the Sam one.
I didn't even know there was a Sam one.
Yeah, that's the one I posted yesterday after a grip of technical difficulties.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I didn't know that.
But that one will be like, that one is the change that I'm starting to make in it, where it's not like you know how normally when it comes out, it's like maybe 1 or 2 short Instagram reels.
Oh, yeah.
And then all the rest, it's just the full length video.
Yeah.
This one that I uploaded yesterday, I have 2 shorts on it that are like a minute and a half, or a minute even, on both. Excuse me. And then I did it's something like, I want to say like an 8-minute long clip that's a normal YouTube video.
Oh, okay.
And then I also posted the full length, which is what I'm starting to do, is to make more bite-sized content out of the full length. Just take shorter clips out of it. Basically the same thing I do with the shorts, only not with not putting it in that short length, like making it like in between like 7 to 10 minutes, because I know that's most people's average watch time.
Yeah. What did you and Sam talk about?
Sam and I talked about a lot. It was nothing like super deep like V and I's was. It was more kind of a little bit sciencey, but not like Jason and I.
Okay.
It's more like we talked about. So to open it, Sam's obviously a Twitch streamer. So he streams him playing Call of Duty with Evan and like just by himself, and other people. The same thing Evan does.
Okay.
So we started out and we were talking like the streaming, like how big streaming's gotten, and the fact that like they probably make just as much, if not more revenue, like Twitch compared to YouTube.
Oh, okay.
So like it's blown up, and like esports, we didn't really touch on the esports thing because that one I'm not very knowledgeable about, and Sam isn't super interested in.
Okay.
But like we talked about VR and like how crazy VR is getting, and like just like some of our own personal experiences on VR, because I've only ever played VR once, and like we were talking about how for me I like run into like the Matrix kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
Where it doesn't register. Like it freaks me out after a while because like I come out of it and it's almost like imposter syndrome where like you almost hype yourself up. I guess you could almost call it like borderline schizophrenia in a sense, but like opposite. Where like schizophrenic people think shit's talking to them when it isn't. And then, but for me, it's like the people that are talking to me. So, like, for instance, because Evan's the one with the Oculus, I'll use him as an example. So the first time I played it, I told him I'm not playing Walk the Plank. I'm not playing any of this shit. I just want to do the Darth Vader one because they got like a Star Wars one.
Okay.
But like if I were to play like a real VR game where you interact with people or like interact with other things like conversation or whatever, dialogue in any form or fashion, when I would take the VR off, I would look at Evan, and in the back of my mind, I would think, is that a real person? And it's like the Matrix thing. Like, that's what we were talking about. It's like, you don't know you're in the Matrix. And so we went down this rabbit hole about, like, how VR is and how advanced VR is getting and, like, the metaverse. I know all of this shit. You have no idea what I'm talking about. But then, like, Neuralink, do you know what that is? You better start learning about it because you're going to start seeing it more and more. Neuralink is a chip, basically, like a little memory card that Elon Musk is making that they'll cut open the back of your head and they'll insert it and basically make you like fucking Terminator. Like they attach it to your brain and like with wires and stuff, and it basically like augments human reality. So like imagine like you remember seeing like old spy movies where like they'd be wearing the glasses. Or like Tony Stark when in Avengers when he would put the sunglasses on and then it would look like there was like a Google Chrome tab open.
Yeah.
That's basically the same thing you'll be able to do. But it'll be in your like you'll literally see it in your eye. Like it'll come out like it's just like basically plastered over your eye and it'll be you'll be able to see through it and stuff like that. He's also making it to where you won't have to talk with your mouth anymore. Like you'll basically be able to like airdrop whatever your thought is or whatever you were going to say with your mouth to somebody. That's within region. And Sam and I were talking about how like that's the worst fucking thing ever.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about how there's $1 trillion companies that have layers upon layers of firewall that still get hacked.
Yeah.
And basically, you could do the same shit only to a different level, and you could literally blackmail people based off of like memories they have, and you just literally hack into their brain. Or even Sam had presented the thought like, not only just hacking into your data bank in your brain, but hacking your brain altogether, and basically like
taking over.
Taking over, and you're sitting in the trunk, and they're driving the car with you in the back seat, like kind of thing. And so we talked about that, and then Marvel, Star Wars. It was basically just a normal Sam and Sean conversation.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, so with the Ziggy one, like, what about it made you feel like it was, I guess, like...
Well, he was talking big props to whoever he's...
No longer
dating. What?
Breaking news. Yeah, they're not together anymore. The chick he was talking about in that podcast.
The one they're not getting married?
Yeah, the one where he said they were getting married?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not even together no more.
Oh. When was that?
When was what? When were they
supposed
to get married, or when did they not be together no more?
Not be together no more.
Probably 2-3 weeks ago. Something like that.
Okay.
I'm not going to use this platform to belittle anyone, but basically there was a disagreement of ideologies.
Oh, well, those are big problems.
Yeah, big problems, which should have been foreseen in the beginning on both of them. I'm not going to divvy out more blame than any to one or the other, but both were aware they both had kids. So, especially the responsibility that brings for not only the parent of the child, but also the person that is taking on a romantic relationship with the parent of a child.
Right.
And it, again, goes both ways.
Yeah.
So it's not a low shot or anything like that. But back to your point, what you were saying before I cut you off about how he's no longer with that woman anymore.
Right. So he was talking about how all of these things were awesome and great, and then it was, but then you have these ones over here that do this, 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 and this.
So, when I tied into that, what was your? Because there is a moment in that podcast where I do agree. I do look at the camera and I say, "You know who you are. You know who you are. No names need to be said."
Right.
So I won't shy away. I definitely did, but again, you know who you is.
Who you still is?
Still no, there's nothing new. Okay, well that's an easy way to segue because I sent you Red Pill. I sent you a few Red Pill videos. For those that don't know, Red Pill is mainly Andrew Tate, Myron off Fresh and Fit, and Sneeko. And these are all three of these gentlemen are portrayed through mass media as being super misogynistic, like super stuck up, like irresponsible, disrespectful, self-centered people. Which, to each their own.
I had no idea who any of them were.
Which was a reason that I wanted to make it a point to send it to you because there was nothing, like you were going to come into it with your own opinion.
Yeah, I have no.
It wasn't going to be based your opinion.
Still don't know who they are.
It is as it should be because now you get like an objective point of view where your opinion isn't formulated so much off of how the people are,
right?
Rather more what they were saying.
Sure.
So I can't remember off the top of my head. I'll just ask you which one got the biggest reaction out of you? Like whether it was positive or negative, because I'm sure that it was mostly negative.
So the one I really did not like was it's some black guy complaining about modern women.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even watch all of it.
Which one was it though? Which black guy?
It was the second. It's like he's doing the interview in the middle of the street in the dark.
Oh, okay. You're okay. I remember. Yeah, the one. That one. What that one made? Was that just because of the complaints made towards modern women? Was it?
Well, I'll be honest. I couldn't even tell you what his complaints were because he just kept dropping the N-word.
Oh, okay.
And just kept.
So you just lost it. There was too much.
I couldn't even tell you what he was talking about because all I heard was the N-word and bitches. Like, nothing else in that.
There's nothing. Okay.
I didn't.
I would love to translate it for you, but I have.
So I have no idea what he was complaining about.
Yeah.
Because I can't tolerate. I don't tolerate, especially the N-word.
Vulgarity.
No, but I just don't like the N-word. Like, I can watch other stuff.
That's fair.
But that one, you start dropping that one, and I'm out.
Left, right, and center. Okay. Yeah, that one, I do remember that one. He does say a lot of profane things throughout the video, but especially the N-word. So you said, well, then at that point, how is that the one that got the most reaction out of you? Or was it literally not necessarily like a reaction based off what was being said? Well, I guess basically my question is, it upset you because of the format in which he was trying to convey his point, not necessarily the point.
Yeah, because I don't think he conveyed any point.
Okay,
I'm sure he thought he did, but I don't think that.
Okay, so were there any points in any of the videos? I think I sent you 5. Again, shout out Fresh and Fit, Tate.
There was one with 2 ladies that were talking about, do we need men?
Oh, okay.
I don't know
your name, and I don't know the name of your YouTube channel, but big props to you. I know which one you're talking about, like the redhead girl who's talking to the one that was saying that modern women no longer need modern men because anything that a man would normally do in the past, women also do now.
Right.
And that there's no reason to have a man because now lesbian marriage is allowed. I know which one you're talking about. Yeah.
That was the first one I watched.
And what was your take on that one? Agreement, disagreement?
I agree and disagree.
So
I agree that yes, there are females that can do pretty much everything that a man can do as far as occupations go. But unfortunately, right now, they are still run by men for the most part. We're still working up
Okay.
to make that same,
Yeah. Okay.
to have as many females doing this versus, you know.
Now, do you think that's by? Oh, okay. So I'll use the same example she uses in the video. That 99% of infrastructure maintaining jobs are held by men.
Correct.
Therefore, making her argument null and void in the fact that yes, just because women can do those jobs doesn't mean that women do those jobs.
Correct, right. Some of them don't. There are jobs I don't want, whether it's held by a man or a woman. I think that occupations should not be gender decided. It should be skill decided.
Yeah, it should
I
be.
don't want to. I'm not going to vote in just any female into the presidency because she's a woman, so she should. Like,
Yeah, it's not necessarily a situation where you fall victim to.
right.
Okay.
It's and it always has been. For me, it's a skill versus a gender.
Yeah, you're not going to just, I guess, for example, you're not just going to give somebody an award based off of the fact that they match that image or they match
Right.
your image. Like, you're not going to be more inclined to, like you said, give a woman a role in the presidential office just because she's a woman over a man that may have more skill and ability to actually fill the position.
Right, but if she's got more skills than
Yeah,
said man,
yeah, no, I get what
then
you're
yeah, she's gonna go for it. Just like if there's two males running for office, and one somehow has more skills than the other, then that's who I'm gonna go for. And if there's two women running, whoever has more skills is who I'm gonna
Yeah,
go for. To me, it comes down to skill.
Yeah, it's a skill-based decision, as it should be. Do you feel like from your point of view, not to overgeneralize, do you feel like that's and this crosses gender lines? Do you think that most people are that way, based in your experience, as you've had more experience on Earth than I have, like having more interactions? Would you say that that's, or even let's take it this way, would you feel like matching an image has taken more priority over skills
Yes.
from when you were little to now? Like, as you've grown older, has it switched? Because I know the further back in time, I think it was more based on your ability to fill a role as opposed to, well, they look like me or they sound like me.
Right.
Would you say that it's changed that way as well? Where it's more so now I need to fit an image as opposed to I have the skills.
Well, I think it's going back towards I fit the image versus I have the skills. Who looks better on the front page of my media page?
You would say, so when you were younger, was it more that way, an image thing?
No, I don't think so.
So then that's my point. It's like it feels like it's getting further and further away from
skills
towards image, and
Right.
there is starting to be, I guess you could say, a waffling in. It seems like it's teetering now. It's not so much on that upward projection as it was the last, I would say around Trump's initial run for presidency. And I don't think it's because he was running for president that this stuff started happening. I think that, and quote me if I'm wrong, he ran in 2018. He ran 2018 to 2022 was his or no, it was 2016 to 2020. Okay. So around, I would say 2017, 2018. Now, you can call me on my bullshit. I wasn't really paying attention to a lot of things prior to 2017, 2018.
Okay.
But is it weird, or am I wrong to think that a huge change was spurned within a short amount of time from probably I want to say it was probably late 2017 into probably mid 2018. There was a lot of stuff that just started, but rising to popularity.
I mean, I don't know about that time frame, but there's definitely been major changes. I think technology plays a big part in that.
Mm-hmm.
I think,
And the importance. The importance of technology.
Yeah.
Like how much more how much more of an impact, like especially social media has had over the last 5 years. I mean, their business plan, whatever their business plan was when they first started these social media companies, I give you props because
did
you
it.
have killed your fucking business plan year over year. I've got to imagine the increases
Sure.
astronomical.
Sure. But that doesn't make it all great.
I would argue personally that less social media is way better
Yes.
because it's and this is going to go so well into the next one I'm going to ask you about. The inflated egos that everyone gets based off of their social media is mind-boggling to me. Like you could like I guess we could just use this our dynamic for example. It would be like if one day or when the one day hits where this podcast picks up, runs off, and just tears through the media charts.
Sure.
And I've got X and X, like I've got 1 million subscribers, and I got 15,000 people following me on Instagram. Like for someone that would be heavily invested into their social media page for the wrong reasons, that would go right to their head, and they completely just lose sight of personal physical relationships you have. Like for example, like our relationship was not built through social media.
Right.
It was birthed quite literally.
That's true.
Whereas like maybe a relationship, I mean I don't have any that I can think of that was built off of like a social media interaction. Those relationships don't mean anything.
Right.
Really, I mean, if you really look at it long term. But then to take it a step further, really to get into what we were talking about is the overinflated ego women, like younger women, because I don't want to say older women, but younger women like my age, like I think I'm Gen Z, I think is what I am.
I have no idea.
I think that's what Jason was telling me. Gen Z, like Gen Z millennials, I would say millennials forward, the overinflated ego women can sometimes get, and again, this is a mass generalization, not everybody does this, but most do this, that like OnlyFans has created, Instagram has created these, that what originally was a very humble girl that was beautiful or had an amazing personality, they all do their own thing. Where in the past it wouldn't have been that big a deal.
Right.
But now they have 15,000 eyeballs on them at any given moment. So now they think I'm hot shit, my shit don't stink.
Right.
And that's the craziest part for me because being someone that looks to be in like intrapersonal relationships that are like deep, intimate, it's so long, like it's so far gone at this point.
Right.
Because social media has become such a crux for especially Western civilization that it's almost unattainable, which is what we were talking about in like the videos that I had sent you. Is that's basically the whole premise of their statements is this is not good and it's starting to change biologically how we're being wired. And obviously they cover so many different points that we couldn't go over in a hour and a half long episode.
Sure.
But basically like the big ones are like there's some sort of, and I don't necessarily corroborate this particular side of the theory, which is there's a lot of brainwashing going on, which is pushing the feminist movement forward and so on and so forth. Like to come out and I'll just come out and say personally, I think that modern women are like there's something to be said for a woman getting her own bag, and I'm not necessarily saying women need to be submissive. However, consequences need to be rolled out across the board evenly. So, like the over-sexualization of women that comes out into normal society now that women throw a hay fit for, are sticking up for women that they themselves have made their name based off sexualizing themselves. And then when somebody sexualizes them further, they want to get upset about it. So, like, for instance, a porn star, they automatically sexualize themselves, and now a guy only seeks them out to have sex with them because they had sexualized themselves, and then they want to come back and be pissed off at the world and not understand that you made the decision to become a sex worker, which in turn sexualizes you. So now everyone's going to look at you in the light that you paint yourself in.
But I also think that you should be able to change just because this is what I chose 10 years ago. Right? Your situation changes. Maybe 10 years ago, that was the only option you had. Okay, we don't have the backstory as to why we started doing that. Maybe that was the only choice you had.
Yeah.
Or there wasn't a choice. Mm-hmm. And so that's what you did. But now, 10 years now, you're like, okay, but that's not who I am. That's not what I want to do. I want to change my opportunities. Mm-hmm. Why is that not being allowed?
Because, so this is a point that I could never get into my own words, but once I heard somebody say it in their term, it made more sense with me, and I realized that's the same way I felt. Women look at a man's future. So women always, like, women want certain things from a man. Like, most women would say they want somebody that can provide for them, that can provide for the family they look to build, and they also look for somebody that's ambitious, which in turn ties back into the provide, because if you're ambitious, you're going to be able to provide more easily. So that in turn, they are paying more attention to your future.
Sure.
Whereas men, we're wired in a much simpler way, in which we don't want to go off all the different factors that play into fortune telling. We go off of the best fortune teller is history. So women are more prioritized towards what men's future are going to look like, whereas men are more geared towards, seeing what a woman's past looks like, because then we can make assumptions towards the future, which, yes, in turn, you'll lose the ability to say, oh, well, maybe she's turned over a new leaf, like you were saying, like right. different situations call for different outcomes. But I think that's the big thing in those arguments is because we're wired so differently, and because there's the sudden influx of sex working in Western cultures with, again, the boom of OnlyFans and all of the different sex works that there are.
But women aren't doing those by themselves.
What do you mean?
There are men doing the same things.
I agree, but
that doesn't matter.
See, this is where it goes back to my point. Women are looking towards the future. So if a guy just was like, all right, if we get together, I cut my OnlyFans and I'm done doing my OnlyFans, then a woman, so long as she sees the fruits of that labor, which is he actually stops,
right?
They're not worried about it because a woman isn't going to look towards your past, whereas a man is geared to always look towards your past.
Right, but he gets pissy if you look at his past.
I mean, we're dealing in mass generalizations. I wouldn't say that and this is another thing that needs to be differentiated is like high value men, whereas like it's not somebody. Well, I guess it could even apply to like just your day-to-day guy, an average male. I feel like most men don't want, like, I'm someone that's very forthcoming. If you want to see my past, I'll write you a 5-page paragraph on it.
Sure.
But for the ones that don't, that's when those are, like, in my opinion, those are not high-value men, which is why high-value women should not be with high-value men. Or high-value women should not be with low-value men. Because if you're unwilling to show the past as a male, which is very rare because, again, women aren't normally geared towards looking at the past.
Yeah, but I think we're becoming that way because we have to.
I mean, at that point, then you have to. At that point, it's really like. At that point, it goes back to the consequence thing. If you as a woman are geared towards, I want to see what his past looks like so I can predict what our future will look like, and the man is not forthcoming with his past or wants to be shady about it or leave out certain information to try and paint himself in a better light, then that comes back to, did the woman just let that did the woman just value something else higher? Like, did she value, like, let's say for instance it's a guy that makes 15 million a year, has no problem providing financially for his family, but he doesn't want to come forth about his past or like maybe his grow to success, what have you, whatnot. Then at that point the woman has to decide what she values more. Would she rather be able to know what his past is with a forthcoming person and maybe not have the benefit of having somebody that's in a relationship with somebody that makes 15 million a year? Or would she rather just say, fuck it, all right, I don't care about your past, but at least I get to reap the benefits of having somebody that makes 15 million a year?
Right, but you're also going under the assumption that it's always the man who makes more than the woman, and that's not always true either.
No.
So maybe she wants an actual relationship, and it doesn't matter that he makes X amount of dollars because, hey, guess what? I don't need you for that. I can take care of this myself. If I want it, I get it. I don't need you. I just need your honest. Because I make more than you.
Yeah, I agree. But the thing is, at that point, I mean, if you really look at it in that light, where the woman doesn't necessarily need the man for financial reasons, like would rather have what you're speaking on, an intimate relationship where she wants him to be forthcoming, she wants to be forthcoming, it's even as it should be. With that, there's also going to be its own drawbacks, because a big thing is, like, this is science, women are more agreeable, or on average far more agreeable than women. Or women, Jesus, I just totally tongue twisted myself. Women are almost all on average far more agreeable than men, which is directly proven to impact female wage across the board, because people that are more agreeable tend to make less money, whereas people that are not as agreeable tend to make more money. And with that, when a man looks for a partner, he normally looks for somebody that is more agreeable. He doesn't want, that's why, because in that sense, a guy that doesn't want to be with somebody as agreeable, like a boss female would, because she's making her money, which means by nature, she's not as agreeable as, per se, another female that's not as successful. He looks for somebody that's going to be more agreeable because they're willing to basically basically they're the ones that are going to star in their role. They're not looking to be a star. They just want to be a star in their role. And so that's the drawbacks of being a boss female. Is there's a drawback to everything in life. If you're a boss female, it's going to be more difficult for you to find a male, because most males are ambitious. High value men look to be geared around somebody that's more agreeable, because most of the time, and this goes for both men and female, when you are a boss, you want to come home to somebody that leaves you alone, like lets you do your own thing, asks what you need of them, and then just lets it like that's, they know their role. So that's why when you see highly successful women, most of the time they're with men that are nowhere in the stratosphere with them as being successful, because they know their role. All right, shit, I don't have to be the breadwinner. I don't have to go out and do this. I'm just going to be at home. Like, how many highly successful women do you see that have stay-at-home husbands?
I don't know any highly successful.
I'm not saying personally. I'm just saying, like, if you look like like we'll use Kim Kardashian for example. And
How
this
about
is
we
gonna be
don't?
no, this is gonna be a terrible example, but this is my point. Kim Kardashian, highly successful woman, right? She gets in a relationship with a highly successful at the time Kanye West.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't really pan out well
No.
because they're both highly valuable people. Maybe not Kanye so much as of now. We've seen wilder
But they
shit.
both
They both are
they
in
both
their
have
own,
gotten their egos and both.
yeah, they're both highly successful. There's no argument in that. They're maybe not so much valuable, but they are both highly successful at what they want to be successful at. Kanye is
Sure.
undoubtedly one of the greatest rappers of all time. Kim K is undoubtedly one of the most popular people that will ever grace this planet. But the thing is, that didn't work out because what they each needed from each other, because they are both not agreeable people, that didn't pan out for them. They needed someone to be agreeable with, which is why what happened? Kim K turns around and the first person that you see her with, Pete Davidson.
Yeah, but he's highly successful too.
But not to that level. Like Kim Kardashian is far more successful than Pete Davidson.
Sure.
Which is not a diss on Pete Davidson,
Right.
but it's Kim Kardashian. And that but even then, they're both less agreeable individuals. It didn't work out. One of her most successful relationships was Chris Humphries. Nobody knows who the fuck Chris Humphries is. Unless you're a diehard Atlanta Hawks basketball fan, you don't know who Chris Humphries is. That's because he wasn't anywhere nearly as successful. He was far more agreeable. So they worked until it didn't work. But like that's my point. When you see high value women trying to be with men, almost all the time, it's with, like, I can only think of really two power couples. You got Jay-Z, Beyonce.
And that's had their problems.
Exactly. Jay-Z cheated on her, but still stuck around. Why? Because she was more agreeable. She was the more agreeable of the two, which fit her genetics, being a woman. Then you have Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade. That's worked out. I haven't heard anything bad
Wasn't
about
he
it.
married when they started their relationship?
I don't know. I watch basketball for the sport, not for the people.
I have no idea, but I thought that's what I heard.
It wouldn't surprise me because I don't think no, because his oldest child is from a different woman. So you would not be surprised. It would not surprise me if he was in a, but that's still the same thing. Both of those men looked for more agreeable females away from their not so agreeable females because that's what men that are highly successful people would do. You could use Jada Pinkett Smith in the same way. When she had her quote unquote entanglement, no one knows who the fucking dude was. Like, I'm sure he's famous. I'm sure he's successful. He's not Will Smith successful. She did that because she's a boss and she needed to be with somebody more agreeable. That's my point. That when you see these highly successful men and women, they're almost always tied to the hip by somebody that is more agreeable, which in turn makes them less successful. LeBron James, nobody know who the fuck his wife is.
That's okay.
Like half the time you listen to like these highly successful people. Now, obviously, Hollywood is different because that's a cesspool of
Right.
all things
Yeah.
not so beneficial. But when you look at like businesses, like if you look at athletes, which I guess technically could fall into the Hollywood thing because there are certain relationships that are that way.
Mm-hmm.
However, for the most part, when you look at people that are highly successful in their own individual fields, like Elon Musk, I don't know who he's with.
I don't think he knows.
Jeff Bezos, I don't know who he's with.
Well, that's because he cheated on his wife.
Mark Zuckerberg, I know who he's with. The aliens, so they don't procreate. But nevertheless, that's the point that I think a lot of, like that, I think the first initial video that we were talking about was trying to make was that, yes, there is starting to be more balance in the workforce, but the other thing that also goes unheard is like the hypocrisy that goes on between gender lines. Like, I know I sent you this one as well, is when they're talking about how women are allowed to have what they want from a male. like every woman's answer, almost all women's answers, above 5'8", good looking, ambitious, successful. If you're not that, don't fucking bother, right? And so men growing up were taught that through media, through interactions with other people, going through. You almost, and so men accept, all right, cool. I have to change. I have to benefit. I have to grow and be successful. I have to be ambitious. I have to be hardworking, so on and so forth. And nobody bats an eye about that. When there's guys that just simply cannot be above 5'8", that are fat genetically, so on and so forth. And nobody bats an eye. But then when a guy says, I want a young, good-looking woman that stays at home and doesn't have a club past, woo! The fucking world blows apart at the seams, and there's a big fucking problem because now a guy is starting to decide for himself, no, I bust my ass to be what you wanted, and guess what? You didn't bust your ass to be what I wanted, so I want nothing to do with you. Which is the same exact thing that particular woman that I used in that example does to the other men that she works to be in their category, but
Right.
they don't do the same. But then it's a huge fucking ordeal when a guy does that.
I agree that men take heat for having
standards. It's
opinion.
considered it's considered, women consider it standards. When men do it, it's considered profiling.
Right.
And that's the whole ordeal that Western civilization has. Is it's Europe, it's America, Canada, mostly North American culture that isn't that's successful. They catch the heat for having standards as well, but it's considered profiling, which is, newsflash, why they take down and they block quote unquote red pill conversations. So, Trump, they take his shit down. They take Tate down. They've tried taking Rogan's stuff down. Like anything that pushes against what mainstream media's agenda is, all gets pulled down.
Right, but that mainstream media also changes what they are trying to push. So that
it weaves in.
That weaves in and out. Right now, yes, that is what that's their thing.
Yeah, but no, that's the point that I was trying to make, is that, that's what I wanted to get your opinion on, was what your beliefs, like what your opinions were of each individual one. Obviously, we already spoke about the one where the guy is dropping the N-word and bitch left, right, and center, and then we talked about the one where it's the two women. What was your opinion? What was your opinion on the woman that was trying to argue that men are no longer needed in society? Like initial reaction.
I didn't care for her.
I thought she was dumb as a box of fucking rocks.
Her statements didn't make any sense as to why that means we don't have, because she just kept saying, well, lesbians. Well, men are not only used for sex. There's very many other.
Mm-hmm. Well, the thing is, and this is the thing that baffled me, that I think the host touches on later on in that episode, is like, she lesbian. Like her first fucking remark when she asked her why she doesn't think that men are needed in society, her first fucking knee-jerk response was lesbian. If you want to have a child, which I'm sure at some point you're going to want to because it's ingrained into who we are genetically, who's going to be the one that makes that happen for you?
Right. You, lesbian or not, you still have to have sperm from somewhere.
Yes.
And currently, men are the only ones that have that.
Mm-hmm. And so that was the thing that really baffled me. Yeah, because when I first saw it, I damn near fell out of my seat laughing. Like you said, her whole basis of her argument was lesbian. And then when she goes, so for everybody that keeps the infrastructure up, that's predominantly male. When you call a car mechanic, who do you call? A male.
Right.
When your toilet breaks, who do you call? A male.
Right.
And then at the very end of the video, she goes, I have a girl car mechanic. That's who I call. And she's like, that's an outlier. when the data proves that that workforce is majority run by male, and you want to paint the fact that you, in your own personal experience, that just makes you an outlier. That doesn't make it fucking normal. And I think that's what her whole argument was.
Yeah.
What was one of the other ones, though? I know you got your notepad over there. I'm sure you
the
pulled
other.
it up.
Oh, the
yeah,
other
the
ones?
other videos.
Yeah, and
I know I sent you like 5.
I still don't know who Tate is.
Andrew Tate.
Yeah, I still don't.
Top G.
I still don't know who he is. But he was talking about. Well, and somebody, I don't think it was him, but somebody was talking about girls wearing revealing Halloween costumes. And if their man says, I really don't like you to wear that, would you wear it? It was like a guy.
Yeah. That's Myron.
Okay.
That's Myron, the one where it's the guy host.
And then a bunch of girls.
All the Instagram models.
Is that who those girls were?
That's literally all he does when he's. So I'll like little insight into it, and I believe this is how it works. Don't quote me on it because I don't know Myron personally. From my understanding, what they do is jump on Instagram and they just check out who's the most popping females on their Instagram page. So I'm sure.
And then brings them in.
And then you want to jump on the podcast?
Okay.
And they know going into it, they're sheep for the slaughter.
Sure.
But they are, it goes back to the overinflated ego. They're like, I got 15 million followers on Instagram. I don't give a fuck what he says. I'm finna make him look stupid. And then they get on, and then they sit there and they realize, holy shit, I'm a little out of my league. He's not making slide remarks and backhanded comments to get my attention. He's pointing out fact. Like I think I sent you the one where I'm sure I sent it to you, where the one with the Hispanic guy talks, and he's talking about how men's self-deletion rate is 5 times what women's self-deletion rate. That's what they use. That's what the term they use as opposed to suicide is male self-deletion.
I don't think that I did get that one.
Oh, okay. Well, basically, I'll run you through it. It's because it's super simple. Sneeko, who's the guy, he was talking, and he was basically stating that men go undervalued in society because, and one of the key factors that prove that is men are not looked after and protected in the same manner that women are, because their self-deletion rate is 5 times the average for women. Or it's 5 times what the woman's self-deletion rate is. And the girl that he's talking to about it turns to him and it's like, "Aw, who hurt you?" And she's like, I don't agree with that. Like, that just gives me like sad boy vibes. Like, who hurt you? And he's like, this is exactly my point.
Right.
I'm using facts to prove to you that men go underappreciated in what they do, yet you want to make it turn around and act like I'm throwing myself a pity party. Like, the numbers clearly, and I know there's no argument that I'm going to get out of you for this. Men's self-deletion rate
I hate that term.
Incredibly.
I think you need to stop using that term. I do not like that term.
It's because it'll get pulled if it's worded in any other form or fashion.
That's ridiculous. Call it what it is.
I completely agree. The suicide rate in men is far higher than in women.
Yes.
The numbers back that. There's no argument to be made there.
But I also believe that part of that is because men have this innate nature that says, I can handle it. I can handle it.
Oh, absolutely.
And so they don't reach out when they should.
No, and I totally agree. However, it's ingrained through common culture.
Right.
And because this is obviously something you and I have spoken about in depth, is that men are ingrained from a young age. Don't show, don't speak,
Sure.
Take it like a man.
Sure.
Okay. That right in of its own is the foot of the problem.
Right.
But what gets compiled onto that is now it's not only young men that are learning this, it's young women that are learning this as well. So when they are thrust into a situation where a man does feel like, I need to get this off my plate, if I don't get it off my plate, I'm going to do something super bad. I'm going to start causing self-harm or even just harm in general. Right. Women look at him and scoff. Get your shit together. Toughen up. Act like a man.
Okay, but not always.
Not always.
Not every woman does that.
Again, we're dealing in mass generalizations. I'm not picking on the. Trust me, I encourage women that are that way to be more apparent. Like don't just fall into the cloud of the 9 million other super poppin' Instagram females.
Right.
Like don't get horseshoed into that shit. Like do what like because this is the other thing too, is that I think another role that plays into this is the family. Like and this can go way off into a different tangent. Family is not valued and prioritized the same way it was 100 years ago.
Not even 15 years ago.
Not even, and I would completely agree. It is so rare that you see a family that fell apart, went through that because every family, when you introduce a new life into your family, once they hit puberty and they're trying to formulate their own thoughts, opinions, likes, dislikes on their own, in their own environment, there is bound to be confrontation intra-family.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the time it gets to a point where it can break a family. It can separate a family. The really positive families are the ones that are able to, and I don't give a shit, I would register our family in this clique. A family that went through more shit than most people's families are willing to admit, dealt with their own stuff individually. The family fell apart. Didn't necessarily fall completely apart, but it splintered and it started to segregate.
Sure.
And I'm speaking just on our immediate family, not anything past that. Yet we've all been able to relearn the family dynamic,
Right.
with the fact that like, and this is something that I myself find a lot of pride in is like Evan lives clear in the fuck north.
Sure.
And you guys have P, but like the five of us, Evan's all the way up in Thornton. He was just at your house like an hour ago.
Right.
I live 5-10 minutes from you, so clearly I live all the way away from him.
Right.
He still is at my house minimum once every 2 weeks.
Sure.
Minimum. But to even make that point further, I talk to you some form or fashion probably once every 3 days at the absolute longest.
Usually.
I talk to Peyton once a week, minimum.
Mm-hmm.
I talk to Evan once a day. That's just how that goes.
Right.
And obviously you talk to Peyton every day because she fucking lives with you.
Right.
I talk to Tom almost every day. Some of
Right.
that, most of that is because of work.
Right.
But also, like, I don't just go into your guys' house and say, hey, fuck him.
Right.
Like, we're all very adult about the relationship that we have and the dynamic in which we have. Like, we understand that when one of us is down, the four others need to pick each other up.
Right.
And it's by no means excluding Tom, but when it comes to the four of us, you, me, Evan, Peyton, there's just a different dynamic because, and I know particularly for Evan and I don't want to necessarily subjugate Peyton to this, but biologically we have no affiliation with Tom. So our true relationship biologically that's going to take top precedent is you.
Right.
Biologically. But still, when one of us is down, we all have a very good ability to pick each other up.
Right.
I mean, we can use several instances, for example. But back to my main point, is just that family identity is really no longer a thing. It's a thing of the past. When
Right.
you see families that have that, you're almost kind of taken aback because it's almost taught the opposite nowadays. I don't give a fuck about your family.
Yeah. It's very much a all about me situation. I'll do me, you do you.
I've been there.
And sometimes, like, there are times you have to look after you. You have to say, I'm at my breaking point. I can't help you. I can't help you. I can't help you. I have to help me first. But when I'm done helping myself, when I'm back where I need to be, then I'm all in.
Yeah.
Like, we got this after that. But you have to have the dynamic already built in that when somebody says, I can't. I can't today.
Yeah, there has to be the communication.
Then there has to be that relationship where, okay, there's a poem or something about when I disappear into the darkness, just remember I will come back out of the darkness. I just need you to wait while I make it through the darkness. I just need you to be there when I come back out. And it's kind of that way. Okay, Sean's having a crap day. We're going to leave him be. But we're right here when he's ready to come out. Or, Peyton's having a crap day. All right, let's leave her be. But we'll
reconvene in a better hour.
We'll reconnect. And you can't... If you call me and you say, hey, can you come do this, or this? And I say, you know what? I really can't. I don't have the emotional capability today.
I still lack that ability.
You still have to... You can't take that personal. Not every decision is made revolving around you.
Yeah.
And not around
the person.
Me. Like, everyone else's choices are not about you. Some of them will be, but not all of them are.
No.
And being able to say, I can't. I can't deal with your crap because I got my own today. Come see me in a week. Call me tomorrow.
Or I'll call you when I'm ready.
Right, but everything is taken so personal. Can you help me move? I can't. Like, I can't. Well, then you're not my real friend. Well, no, that's not it.
Bitch.
I'm struggling to get out of bed and put pajamas on. Like, I have my own stuff.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. It's very self-centered. And isn't that the best way to split a team?
Absolutely.
It's easy to shepherd. It's easier to be a shepherd for a bunch of lost sheep than it is for found sheep. Like sheep that know their way, and because that's basically the point. It is like whatever's running the show, and I'm not saying religiously. I'm just saying politically and socially in our environment. The goal is to split, like divide and conquer.
Right.
So that's why the family thing has fallen off to the side, and like to your point, the ability to say no is, and I wouldn't even necessarily say, well, no, the ability to say no is so lost anymore that like you have people that don't understand the concept. I understand the concept, doesn't mean I'm very good at grasping it.
Right.
The ability to just sometimes tell people, like you were saying, hey, can you help me move? No, I can't. I can't even put my fucking pajamas on today. I'm like not feeling it. That's so lost that it almost exacerbates the problem, because then, like you said, people take it personally, and when you just need a fucking minute to like regather yourself, and then you were planning on talking to that person to help you get through what you gathered.
Right.
They're nowhere to be found.
But they've already blocked you.
Yeah,
they've already blocked you.
Yeah, they've already blocked you on Instagram, and don't fucking DM me and stay off my Snapchat, and like don't call my phone because you didn't fucking help me pick out a fucking dress at PacSun.
Right.
Like, bro, no, your fucking dress doesn't matter to me. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I want to be there with you, and that's the thing that's so lost, is like people almost don't have that at all. And I don't know if it's necessarily a time thing, or if it's a genetic thing, or if it's like social and political forces are being exerted upon subjugates kind of thing. But it's so far gone and it's so far lost that it's completely exacerbated like underlying problems.
I thought you did that.
Yeah, I told you, when you get called twice by people in your contacts, like family members and stuff like that, or like a SOS, it'll still ring.
Oh.
Just be like, hey, yo. No, you can answer it. Put it on speakerphone. Damn, she hung up on you.
Yes, she did.
She wasn't waiting for you. Shout out to Peyton. That's my dog.
It's not really your dog, it's your sister, for those of you that don't know.
That's P. Diddy.
I'm sorry, what? No. Why aren't you doing rice-a-roni? Okay. Well, what's your plan? Yes, I'll be home. Text me what you guys are going to do. Okay, bye. Oops. Then I just tried to call Evan.
Damn, just involve all the siblings. No, I definitely agree. But basically, like, back to my point, I was just trying to have like an open dialogue because I obviously called you with a wild hair at my ass, and very closely came to making a very poor decision about filming some episodes with some particular people talking this exact conversation.
Right.
And for those of you that don't have a good relationship with your mom, I highly encourage you figure it the fuck out, because mine has saved my life a few times and also tried to end it, but that's the caveat.
Did not.
But yeah, like when you get in, and this is the other thing that really baffles me, is the impact that relationships, both future, past, and present, leave on a vast majority of people, in the way that it will completely change a person when losing. So obviously, like when it comes to death, obviously that's a little different because there's no closure to that most of the time.
Right.
There's no like in for most of the time when it comes, especially with death, there is so much you have to relearn. Like you got to relearn how to live life without that person, and so on and so forth. And you've obviously got I believe it's 7 stages of grief. You got to go through that, and then you got to go through your own personal retraining, and so on and so forth. But when it comes to losing relationship, not based off death, but based off of decision, that almost to me, in my personal experience, has become far more volatile than when you lose someone from death. Like when you make a decision, when you make a well thought out decision, or maybe not even a well thought out decision, maybe you just had some fly to you, and it hits your radar and you think about it and you decide you want to follow the same path and you want to dead that relationship. Now, this is not just dating relationship. This is friend relationship, any relationship you have, and you decide to up and cut ties. The way it gets so explosive for each individual involved is almost something kind of new to me, because obviously growing up you lose relationships by decision, sometimes not by decision. Like I'm sure everyone remembers an elementary school friend that they had that you guys just didn't end up going to the same middle school, so that relationship falls apart. And in the past, that wouldn't be such a big deal.
Right.
But now, back to the point you were making earlier, is like when you make a conscious decision to no longer involve yourself with some people, it gets so ugly so fast.
Well, it's because, like I was trying to tell your sister, you grieve every relationship.
Absolutely.
It doesn't have to. Death is not the only reason you grieve.
Yeah.
And a loss of a relationship, whether it's a death relationship, it's a dating relationship, it's a friendship relationship, you are still grieving that. And people don't. It's not grief because they're not dead. Well, it is grief because you've lost the relationship. So nobody knows how to work those steps in that loss because, well, they're not dead. So it's not like, why should I be sad? Well, you
Because
still
they're basically dead to you. You're no longer involved.
You're right.
in
You
them.
still have those seven steps, and if you're not taking those 7 steps, then it becomes vital because all you got stuck in the pissed off part. You never worked the rest of the steps.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I mean, I'm very much so acquainted with the loss side of things, not from death.
And you also people think, okay, well I worked all 7, I'm all done. Grief is not linear. It's not point A to point B all in one straight line. And just because you've worked all 7 steps doesn't mean you're not gonna have to go back to step 1 at some point. Be it years later when something triggers it and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, I would say even just take it a step further. Life itself is not linear.
No.
Like I remember, like I don't even know the name of it, but there's a phobia for people that have. I don't necessarily say, I don't know if it's a phobia is what they quantify it as, but basically like people, they have 2 good days in a row and they just sit on edge in angst because they're like, no, like it's going to happen.
Gonna happen.
Something's bound to happen to basically put me in a negative light or make me not be like, I'm going to have a bad day and so that's the thing is like a lot of it is this disillusionment that comes with growing up that life is, like you said, linear. Fuck no, it ain't.
No.
Nothing, in my opinion, the only thing that's linear, bro, is grade 10 algebra. That's it. Because that's all they fucking teach you is lines.
Yeah.
Life itself is not linear. There are going to be days where you have 17 fucking god-awful days in a row. And then you have 2 good days. And then you go back to having 4 bad days in a row. And this is you could call me crazy. I'm actually curious to get your input on this. I feel worse when I have a blah day than when I have a bad day. Like, you know those days where you just kind of get up and you're like, everything's just numb.
Yeah.
Those days for me are harder to get through than the days where I'm just getting my ass whooped all day. Like mentally, emotionally, physically. Like those days where at least I know what the fuck is going on in my head, but I can't stop it and I just have to ride it out. Those are easier for me than those days where I'm like, not a bad day.
Something's just
not
off.
a good day. It's just I'm off. Those days kick my ass. Like I can count on probably 2 hands the amount of times where like a bad day just ruined a fucking month for me. Just one.
Right.
Because then being someone that's obviously like very emotionally and mentally in tune, when I don't know what the fuck is going on in my head,
Right.
it concerns me more than the bad stuff that I know that's going on in my head. Because at least I know in the back of my mind the part where I'm really in my intuitive side, not necessarily my emotional side. I still know, like, hey, man, you're feeling this way because of X, Y, Z.
Right. You can still figure it out.
Yeah, whereas when you have those off days, it's nothing.
Right.
Like, no amount of fucking soul searching is going to save you from just being...
Right.
And I just was curious if, like, that's the same way for everybody.
I don't know about everybody, but it's the same for me.
Where you just, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm, like, curious to know that because Ziggy and I were having this conversation last time we rode together, probably 3 months now or something like that, where basically people need to start to realize, excuse me, that nobody knows what's going on in the next person's head.
Right.
Like, we were literally talking about, like, because obviously our job, in yours as well, you come into contact with so many different people. You have, and I can't even imagine in your line of work, holy shit, you have no idea what's going on through, like, what's running through their head.
Right.
Like, I could just imagine, like, you got a mom, a single mom, 2 kids, and she comes in and she's trying to take care of her kids, and we'll just say 2 boys, like we'll say 4 and 6, Mom's really feeling this in her soul right now. Like, it's a single mom, got 2 boys, 4 and 6. The 4-year-old is dirt sick. Like, just sick as a dog. She's tried every home remedy in the book. And then she makes the mistake everybody makes. Jumped on WebMD. And self-diagnosed. And then she calls the doctor thinking...
The worst.
The worst. And, like, just, I can't, like, does that happen to you often? I know this is random, but, like, does that happen to you often? Where you come into contact with parents that, like, WebMD their kid's sickness and fucking...
I spend a lot of time
over-exacerbate it?
I spend a lot of time on the phone after parents have done that.
And with me, also.
Yeah, my own children.
Hey, man, I don't need a doctor to tell me that I have HIV. I just need the internet. No.
Dying, always cancer, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Or you might have a sinus infection.
See, and that's the thing that's hilarious about, like, WebMD for me, is you, like, pull it up, and you put all your symptoms in, and you boom, 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 and they got one, like, super mild one, which is almost always what you actually have.
But it's on the bottom of the list.
But, like, it's like tucked away, or it's, like, written in its scientific language.
Yeah.
So where, like, it wouldn't be, like, they would, like, if HIV wasn't that big a deal, like, they would literally spell out, like, the scientific term for HIV.
Sure.
And then, like, the shit that's, like, super serious, like, new Hodgkin's lymphoma. Like, they put that, like, it could be that. And if they word it that way, you're like, oh, no, like, it can't be that. But they just fucking lung cancer. And you're like, shit. I got a weird sideways cough, and I definitely have cancer, when, like, in all reality, it's literally just based off the terms that they put it in. Like, it could be cold, but whatever the scientific term is for cold, they're going to phrase it like that on WebMD.
Right.
Because I remember, I used my own story, for example. I had some stuff going on. I was sick. Nothing crazy. Unfortunately, because I had decided to WebMD it, my mom embarrassed me in the workplace.
You should quit MDing.
Yeah, I tell you what, from then on out, I stopped WebMDing, and I just said, you either suck it up or go in. Those are your 2 options. No more Google for you. Because, long story short, I had a sinus infection. I thought that I had, what was it?
Oh, no, you were asking about STDs.
Oh, I thought I had AIDS.
Sorry.
I thought I had HIV.
Because you put your symptoms into WebMD.
Yes. And I got a little too frugal with my own personal sexual activity. But that's neither here nor there. So at least I had a leg to stand on, okay? When it came to my assimilation of my self-diagnosis. But, no. I mean, we just totally went on, like, a super random tangent. Put him in.
Hello?
Hello, you called me?
Not on purpose.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I picked up the crematory.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Alrighty, I will talk to you when I talk to you then.
All right. Love you.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.
For those that don't know, that's EJ Beats. Shout out EJ Beats. Follow him on Instagram. Mad music producer. And my dog. But no, I don't know what we were talking about 5-10 minutes ago. We went super hard down a rabbit hole. I think it had something to do with. Oh, wasn't it like a bleh day?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. I had it, then I lost it. I'm really struggling right now. The intense gaze you're hitting me with as I'm just trying to figure out where we were. Because you rudely had 2 people on the phone.
You told me to answer it.
I really thought you were going to be like, oh, yeah, we're on the podcast. And then he was going to give me a soundbite. Didn't tell him. So all the listeners just were, which are all my family currently at this point. I don't have anybody that's not family as a subscriber, so they're literally gonna watch the video and be like, "Hey, that's Evan and Peyton." I know those people. No. Back to my point. Like, the way that it's so easy to cause division anymore. Obviously, we had started off the division between male and female, and then kind of went into how the division is starting to seep intra-family, and then what happens in all relationships come post fallout. Like the way division has been able to be used as such a successful weapon is quite incredulous to a point.
Right.
And I just, being someone that's from the 17th century, was like, is that something that you kind of saw as it was changing? Sorry, had to get it in there, Mom.
I thought you were going to say something about when I used to be best friends with Jesus, like you used to say when you were little.
She is still best friends with Jesus.
I am. I'm okay with that.
Don't start this. We can get into that, Mom. But then we're not, because we're already at an hour here. Okay, if you want to go there, we're going to be here for 4 fucking hours.
That would be a whole different podcast.
Which I will not be releasing to any of your family when they see me completely body modern religion. And you know what's the best part? You know that crystal store in the mall?
Okay.
The day I air what media would consider anti-religion, which is just my open dialogue about my opinion of religion, I know that your family is going to be like fucking on it like that. I'm going to duct tape crystals to the wall around me. And I'm going to get a bonsai tree. I'm going to Mr. Miyagi bonsai tree. I'm going to be clipping the fucking bonsai tree. And they're going to be like, so what are you? And I'm just going to be like, I'm spiritual. I'm not religious. I'm spiritual. And all I can say is I'm going to make sure that I film it like directly after the holiday season, because if I do it within a close enough proximity to the holiday season, I'm not getting an invite extended my direction. Like, no, you're not coming to Christmas. Why? Because you're spiritual. Jesus made Christmas, not the spirits. The Holy Spirit made the Christmas, so I'm still in there. No. I'm really getting my ass whooped. Like, I keep going off on these hilarious subtangents and then get lost in the sauce. Floor is yours, Mom. You got something you want to fucking talk about?
I got nothing.
You got nothing. You don't have anything you want to put out for all the parents in the world, or the parents that happen to drop off children at your doctor's office?
No, I'm good.
You don't want to mention like they need to bathe their child before they bring them in?
No, they usually know that.
Family. We're just gonna go with family. No, I'll leave it. We're gonna leave it right here because I'm clearly getting my ass kicked, and it also, like Derek said in his episode, which you still haven't watched, Whack for You. It gives us a good way to segue into our next episode. Double back and touch on it.
Okay.
But all in all, did you think those 3 videos were misogynistic at any point?
I mean, I think it's all in the context of the bigger picture. When were these statements made? Like, what was the full conversation? And we don't ever hear, like, their significant other. Are they okay with that conversation? Because if they are, then...
Why should you give a shit?
Then it's really not your business.
I like that. We'll leave it there because then we can talk about how media is so hell-bent on the headline and not necessarily the
story.
The content of the media they're releasing. It's always flashpoint, hot topic, bang, 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 bang. Short-term relevancy and short-term attention span, and all
not
those.
honest.
Yes, misconstruing, misplacing, changing the agenda of the words and not putting them in the order they came in which someone's mouth. So, yeah, we'll leave it for that one then, because I gotta pee.
Okay, thanks for that.
You're welcome, Mom.
Okay.
Thank you. Shout out shotgroup76@hotmail.com. I don't know her Instagram page.
I don't have one. Oh, wait, yes, I do.
All right.
Isn't it Shot Group 94?
Breaking news, folks. It's Shot Group 94. If you ever
Maybe.
want.
It might be.
She's not single. Don't.
Yeah, don't.